The ultimate experience for many women is giving birth to bundles of joy. Stillbirth and miscarriages bring around trauma and a huge amount of distress. Jen and Alicia take us through their journey of resilience. This is How We Cope. I'm Hugo Ribatika. One of life's greatest gifts is children. The impending arrival of the little one has us preparing in all sorts of ways. The one thing we are seldom prepared for is loss. On the show today, Jen and Alicia. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on to Cope.
Thank you for inviting us.
Alicia, we know that some time ago you suffered loss. You were expecting a baby, had great plans, but those plans did not come to fruition.
Yes, that's true.
Would you walk us through that journey, please?
I was 22 weeks pregnant when I lost our baby girl, Alicia, due to a uterine rupture. It happened in the early hours of the morning of 27 May. My husband was awoken by me, groaning of pain, and when he switched on the bedroom light, I was pale, I had no color, I was non-responsive. He phoned the ambulance. I was taken to a nearby hospital where they discovered I had a uterine rupture. I was non-responsive on arrival at hospital. They had to shock.
What is a uterine rupture?
Uterine rupture is my uterus torn.
Okay.
And I started bleeding. I had a lot of internal bleeding. At emergency room alone, I received 8 units of blood, wow, which is quite a lot. I was taken to theatre because at that stage they didn't know where the bleeding was coming from. They had to perform tests first. And in theatre, okay, when I was still in emergency room, there was still a heartbeat. But as soon as I came to in theatre, there was no more heartbeat, so we lost the baby. And they also had to perform an emergency hysterectomy because that was the only way to save my life and to stop the bleeding. I only woke up, I think it was 3 or 4 days later, and then I felt my tummy there was something wrong, and I asked about the baby, and I was informed that they just said your baby died. And yeah, it was a terrible, it's terrible. I mean, you had so much plans for a baby, and to hear that you have lost a baby, and now you also have to learn that you can't have another baby because that was also taken away from you. And
how did that make you feel?
Oh, my heart was shattered. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just cried. When people came to visit me while I was still in hospital, I just cried. I couldn't talk. It was like all the dreams you had, everything was taken away from you. It was ripped away from you, not taken away from you. It was, yeah.
Amazing. Jen, you have a little teddy there.
Yes.
Care to tell us about your little teddy?
Okay, so this is Diani. She's my baby girl. We lost our baby girl the 4th of June this year. How it happened, we went with Corona and everything, my husband couldn't go with me to our normal scans.
How many weeks pregnant were you?
38 and a half weeks.
So you were almost there?
Almost there, yeah. And it was exactly 5 days before our scheduled C-section were scheduled. So the last scan, and there were no heartbeat. And I had to face that alone. And, you know, my entire world came crashed down. And sorry, they phoned my husband to tell him he must come upstairs to the inside the hospital. And he thought it was time that Diani was born, and he was excited because now it's time. We had to go in and finally we can meet our baby girl. And he tried phoning me and I couldn't answer my phone. Finally, when I answered, I told him there were no heartbeat. And he was furious. He thought it was the doctor's fault. and he was so angry he wanted to punch the doctor. And with the corona, he first needed to be tested with temperature and all that screening stuff, and then his temperature were too high, and they didn't want him to go inside the hospital. And finally, when he came upstairs, the doctor showed us again the scan that there's no heartbeat, and it was like she was floating inside my tummy. And they said to us, okay, our C-section will be rescheduled for the Friday. So this was the Wednesday, and our C-section was scheduled then for the Friday. And we need to go to take the corona test and all that stuff. And we did it, and I asked the ladies, please just do a emergency, because my baby is dead inside me, and I wanted to be taken out as soon as possible. Because why do I need to live if my baby is dead inside me? And so we got the test the Thursday morning at 6, and my mom and my sister was with us, because I wanted to get white pants for my baby girl, and because I wanted to dress her in white. And my water broke, and we were rushed to the hospital for my C-section. So she was then born 2:16 the afternoon, and I asked my husband, please just take care of my baby. You must follow her and take care of her. Don't worry about me. I can take care about myself. And I was pushed inside a normal ward, not even a maternity ward. And the nurses didn't look after me. They didn't clean me. They didn't help me walk. And for me, that's the most difficult part, because my husband needed to clean me, where I laid on the bed for almost an entire day in my own blood. And I couldn't walk, and the nurses just asked me, are you mobile? And my husband helped me walk, and he cleaned me. And the Friday, we held our baby girl the Thursday, the entire day. We arranged that my husband could come inside the hospital the Friday. And so that we can meet Diani again. And he helped me walk. And the Saturday morning, I walked around my room so that they can discharge me, because I don't want to be there alone, because I don't have my baby and I don't have my husband to face everything alone. I couldn't do that. It was too painful.
Obviously a very, very difficult period for you. Do you know how you lost the baby?
Yes. Her umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck 2 times, and the doctor showed us pictures. They couldn't do anything for her, so it was just an accident. So it wasn't the doctor's fault. It's just Diani was a little a bit too ambitious.
Yeah.
in the tummy. Yeah.
Alicia, we spoke earlier about your loss. Let's talk a little bit about the support that you received or didn't receive during that time. Was your husband supportive? Did you have a support structure?
Yes, my husband was supportive, and I had a little bit of a support structure. We are a very close family, and the family were there to support me. But people who haven't suffered loss don't know what to say, and they mean to comfort you, but they might say the wrong thing.
Correct.
But they do not say it to hurt you. I mean, they don't know that they are hurting you because they haven't been through a loss themselves. And I also learned that people don't understand. They don't understand what parents are going through that lost a baby. They think, it's just a baby, she wasn't even born yet. So how can you cry? How can you be so emotional about it? She wasn't even a living being. That's what people say.
And for you, it's...
it was my baby girl. And I didn't have a chance to greet her. The hospital gave my husband a limited time to decide what he wants to do with the baby's body. and babies born before 26 weeks are seen as medical waste. And after I was discharged and I did a little bit of research, then I became aware that that's what happened with babies born before 26 weeks. And yes, she was tossed away like dirt, and she didn't deserve that. In fact, no child does.
What would you have liked to have done?
I would have liked to hold her, and I would have liked to tell her that I'm sorry that my body had failed her, that I love her.
Did this impact your relationship with your husband in any way?
Yes, it did impact our relationship. We went through a lot of counseling and marriage counseling. At times I thought we are not going to make it, but we did. It's 3 years down the line and we're still married. But yeah, it does put a lot of pressure on a marriage because men and women grieve differently.
Can you explain that to us?
Yes, I like to talk about it. Remember, I wasn't there when it happened. I was out, and he, from the other side, he saw everything. He saw his wife almost died. He saw his baby died. I only heard my baby died, and I went through a lot of pain. But he likes to isolate himself and live in his own little. I like to talk about it. I want facts. I want to know exactly what happened, who was there, what was said, what did the doctor say, how did the baby look, how much did she weigh, how long was she, did she look like me, did she look like you? And do
you not think because men and women grieve differently that he potentially needs your support?
Yes.
Because remember, as you said, you weren't there when he was going through all this heartache. You know, he loses his baby girl. He's almost losing his wife.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. But also I learned that after the things happened, that he also needs support. He also needs my support, just as I need his. And I am depending on his support. I mean, we've been through this together. It's not only my baby, it's his baby as well.
You also have a little son?
Yes, I have a son. He's 5 years old.
Now, loss of your little girl and the fact that you are unable to have any more children, has that affected your relationship with your son?
I think it has. I'm a little bit overprotective over him. I don't let him out of my eyesight, and I don't leave him with anybody. And if boys are rough, and when he plays outside, and just as I got out of hospital, we got him a jungle gym, and he fell from the swing on his face.
Wow.
And I thought I'm going to lose him, but it was just some scratches against the cheek. So he wasn't really hurt that bad, but I must say I'm very overprotective over him. I don't want him to play with someone when I'm not there, to go and visit a friend maybe when I'm not there. And I won't leave him with anyone. If I can't leave him with my mom, if my mom can't look after him, then I won't leave him.
The show is Cope, and we are discussing a preterm loss with mums Jen and Alicia. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We are discussing prenatal loss with mums Jen and Alicia. Jen, tell us a little bit about the journey that you've walked in recovering from your loss.
Okay, so recovering from Dione, it's been an everyday step. You take one step at a time, 1 second at a time. And some days you found yourself that you walked maybe 2 steps, and then you are magically 100 steps back. My husband is a fabulous husband. I couldn't do anything without him. I don't know what. I'm so a lucky wife and a woman to be with him in a relationship, because he's my anchor, he's my everything. And I know he's a fabulous dad. Even with Dione, that's not with us, but I know he helped me through a lot. So I'm grieving through arts and crafts. So me and my mom-in-law, we are doing mosaic and painting, and even with the Empty Wombs group that we help Nanki Robertson with her
Our books.
Her Box initiative.
Maybe two questions I'd like to ask. Did you paint and do art before?
No, I'm not a creative person at all. So I'm even doing my garden now. You must see how nice my garden looks. So I'm not a creative person actually, and I lost my job in the beginning of the year, so I had lots of time on my hands, and I couldn't just lay in bed and grieving, and because I were at the time, just past my baby, that was with a funeral and everything. I just laid in bed and I couldn't even stand up. I couldn't face the day, and I just sat there and said, I can't do this every day. My husband needs me, and I'm like in this deep black hole, and I don't like it. And Diani didn't want that for me.
So during this time that you were in this hole, was your husband still supportive?
Yes, every day. When I couldn't face the day, and I felt like I'm alone and I can't do it anymore, I just phoned him and he rushed home, because he still needed to work. His work didn't give him time off to grieve. So he rushed home and just be there for me. So, and even my sister as well. She's a fabulous sister. So yeah, my sister also helped me, and she did my hair, and because she's a hairdresser, so she did.
Done a fabulous job.
Yeah. So she did my hair and cut it just for me to feel better, because her saying is, when you look better, you feel better.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
That's true.
Now, both of you are part of a support group.
Yes.
Maybe your experience with a support group, what has it done to your walk, your recovery?
All of us is a significant group of people. So every day we are chatting on WhatsApp, and so if you have a bad day, you say, listen here ladies, today is a bad day for me. And then they talk to you and ask you, okay, but what is a bad day for you? What do you experience? And everybody reach out to you. Even like one of the ladies, Cindy, she made my hoe box what I received in the hospital. And I didn't meet her as yet.
What is a hope box?
The hoe box is it's Nanki Roberts' project. She gives, because she lost her son Caleb a few years ago, and she found that a mother that lost her baby need to have that support. So she created the hope box to reach out. So there's a few things inside, like a booklet, a notepad, a candle. You can help me.
A cup, a mug, a coffee mug, tea, calming tea, and it's just to tell a lost mom that she's not alone and that there is hope. There's also a handwritten note by Nanki herself, and I think that means so much when you receive that box to tell you there's something for you. You don't have a baby in your arms, but here's something for you. It gives you a little bit of hope and a little bit of, it's that, it's a little bit of light in that dark tunnel. So it's just to comfort the mum.
Alicia, your experience with the group, has it been positive?
It was very positive for me. I only came to learn about Empty Wombs a year after Alice's passing. They were very supportive. I weren't aware of any groups available when I lost Alice. I mean, you don't talk about it, you don't know of someone. It's so alone. Unreal. You feel all alone. And then on Facebook, I saw an advert at Empty Wombs with a trauma counselor that were giving a talk on baby loss, and I asked my husband if we can go. And when we got there, the trauma counselor was someone that I went to see earlier in the year, Elise Tyrion. And so we went to the morning, and that's how I became part of. They asked me, "Are you in a support group?" And I said, "No. Is there support groups for lost moms?" And yeah, they helped me a lot. They gave me a lot of support. In the beginning, we were only five people, but yeah, now we have grown, and it feels my heart feels so warm if I can reach out to another mom or welcome another mom into our group.
Yeah, we're
And
now 20.
yeah, we are
Yeah.
now 20.
That's incredible growth.
Yeah.
The one thing that does baffle me though is men grieve differently, and
Yes.
obviously men don't entirely have the same relationship
Yeah.
with the baby when it's still in the womb that you have. So my first question is, do you think support groups of this nature would help men? Do you think men need help in dealing?
My husband's going to murder me for this, but
Mine as well.
I personally think men should also be allowed to join a group for lost dads. It will help them a lot. Men don't speak about their loss. They don't speak out. And I think if they can hear from other dads that went through the same, they will find comfort or care. Or
Even if they just a few dads that lost also a baby, even if they do just a project together, maybe play paintball, get their frustration out,
yeah.
or target shooting, or something
Or
like that
something,
guys
yeah.
do, just to get their frustrations out.
Are men as frustrated or as hurt as women, do you think? Now, obviously, this may not be a statement of fact, but I'm almost convinced that the relationship with my kids really started when they were born. So before birth, I'll speak on my own behalf, before birth, it was this great idea that I'm going to be a dad. But it was really different when I was in the hospital, I was in the ward, and I held my child for the first time.
I beg to differ there, because the dad, well, my personal experience.
Yeah.
My husband went with me to most of the scans, so he also see the baby, he also see the heartbeat, everything. No? So he also has this relationship with Diani, with my baby girl. So he touched my tummy, he felt her kicking. That's a bond. And sometimes when Diani was kicking me like crazy, I wanted to take her out with a bread knife. And then my husband held my tummy and he said, Diani, Daddy is here. And then she's quiet. So my husband had that bond with Diani. So men also hurt on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the same as a mom, but they also hurt.
Yes, I agree. Well, in my case, Lucas held Alicia. He had the opportunity to hold her, and I also think that bond is formed as soon as there's that 2 lines on the pregnancy test. Then that bond is already there. I mean, he is the dad. So, and like Jen said, my husband also went with me to all the scans. He also heard the heartbeat. He also held his hand on my tummy. So, yeah, they do have a bond right from the start. I mean, yeah, and like, he had the opportunity to hold her in hospital where I didn't have that opportunity. And so for him, it is difficult for a dad to say goodbye to his child. I mean, no one wants to go through that.
Now, the one thing we obviously have to deal with is the future, ladies. Whether we like it or not, the future is coming. The future is literally every second away. Jen, what does the future hold for you? Do you have plans at this moment, or are you still going through the processes?
For now, we're just going through the process. I do not want to rush our grieving process. My baby is going to be in heaven 10 years from now. I'm still going to miss her 10 years from now. She's not like a puppy which you just can replace.
Yeah.
She's my child. She's my firstborn. And for now, we're just coping and dealing with the grieving. But later on, there will definitely be another baby.
So I look forward to hearing that story. And for you, Alicia?
Well, it's kind of difficult because I can't fall pregnant again due to the hysterectomy. But there are options, surrogacy and adoption. We haven't really decided which way to go, which way is the right way. It's just, we also just take it one day at a time. There's not really something specific that we are planning for the future.
So for mums that are out there, words of advice, words of encouragement, what would you guys like to say to them before we go?
Counseling is a really big part. You're not a crazy person to seek out help. Please get help. Get that support structure. And if you don't have a family that supports you, we at Empty Wounds, well, we are family.
Beautiful.
I would say by sharing your story, you're encouraging someone else to tell theirs. And the other thing I want to say is that everyone has a story that will break your heart. And if you listen very carefully, most people have a story that will bring you to your knees.
Awesome. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on to Cope.
Thank you for inviting us.
It's been absolutely great having you on the show. Now, remember, together we can. Until next time, goodbye.